why do you believe that Irish travellers get a bad rep in the media and from the general public?
Well, that's to assume, firstly, that I do believe they do, which they do,
Sure. Yeah.
which they do largely. Well, I think I mean, as I'm sure you'll hear from other people, they get a bad press because you're only talking about a very small percentage of the overall sort of gypsy traveller population that are still nomadic. Most of them now are either in housing or on permanent sites. And the issue with those that are still nomadic is that there are not enough transit sites or stopping places for them to stop. So if you went back 50, 60 years before the Caravan Acts came in, there are a lot of, and you know, society's become more urbanized and everything. A lot of the stopping places where they could stop and keep out of people's way have been closed off to them. There's not enough transit sites. So inevitably, when they do turn up, they're pulling into supermarket car parks, public parks, you know, places that it riles people up. And I think that's part of it. So part of it's driven by the lack of publics or official stopping places for them. And also there's a kind of anticipation that as soon as the travellers turn up, there's going to be a load of trouble, whether there is or not. So I think partly there's that anticipation that there's going to be trouble. I mean, I'll give you an anecdote. When I used to live in Epsom, Surrey, where there's always a lot of gypsies travellers go through because of the Derby there. And we had a load pull up on a playing field right next to our house. And like within 10 minutes, all the neighbours were out making a big fuss. Everyone was on the phone to the police. They stayed for 3 or 4 days. We didn't have any trouble with them at all. And then they went. So I think sometimes it's the anticipation that there's going to be trouble, even if there is or not. I mean, I've done a lot of work with travellers over the years, and I think it affects them in terms of their reluctance to engage, let's say, with mainstream society, formal institutions, and yeah, I think it's made them withdraw somewhat because of the hostility that or again, it's about anticipation. I mean, I remember reading something that always stuck with me about travellers accessing health services, a Glenys Parry study years ago, and she said that often there's the anticipation that they're going to face discrimination, even if they don't. But that expectation breeds a kind of mindset that's conflictual from the outset, I feel, and until the attitudes of a lot of, and again, we're not talking about everybody, of course, but until the kind of that negative mindset towards travellers change, it's not going to change on the other side either.
And how do you believe as a society we can change the way we see the travellers?
I think part of the problem, as I said, is that they don't have the supporters in high places, let's say. I mean, the reason things have changed towards, let's say, black minorities in this country is because they've got a lot of supporters among white, sort of middle and upper class people that call the shots, whereas the travellers don't have that. So as long as they're not having people in influential positions that kind of try and promote a change in attitudes and the way we talk about them, then it's doubtful that anything will change.